For more on the matter, I'm now joined by Justin Quill, partner at major law firm Thomson, Geer Lawyers. Justin, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Novak Djokovic's lawyers put in submissions. Then the government asked for an adjournment from Monday to Wednesday, but the judge in this case said no. What does that tell us, do you think?
Yes, there was a little bit of drama on Saturday night. The application for an adjournment by the government happened only an hour or two after Djokovic's submissions were filed. So that tells me really two things. Firstly, that the government's lawyers realised when they saw those submissions that there was more in this than they thought and that they really have a fight on their hands. And it tells me that at least as of Saturday, they were scrambling. Now, they've now filed their submissions. That happened late last night. So it seems we're ready to go for this morning. But certainly as of Saturday night, they were on the back foot.
In overnight developments, the federal government's lawyers are saying that they will argue that Djokovic relied on outdated ATAGI advice for his exemption. So what do you believe his chances are here?
Look, I think that his chances of winning his case are really good. I'm very confident that he will be successful in this application before the Federal Circuit Court. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he plays in the Australian Open. I think what's likely to happen is the matter will be remitted back to the Minister to consider whether or not the visa should be cancelled, noting, of course, what the judge says in his judgment. But that's the way I think the case itself will pan out. But whether or not he plays is another thing.
What are the grounds that Novak Djokovic is arguing here?
Yeah, so the grounds are very, very technical legal grounds, as you'd expect when you get a bunch of QCs in a room trying to pick holes in the process that Border Force undertook at the airport last Thursday. And it really relates to that. What Djokovic was and wasn't told, and this finger pointing that seems to be going on between the state government, the federal government and Tennis Australia is going to be mainly irrelevant to the judge. The judge is going to be looking at the process that Border Force undertook and the test they applied in deciding whether or not to cancel the visa. So that Djokovic will be arguing, or his lawyers will be arguing, that he was on a 25-hour layover. He wasn't given enough time to respond to what Border Force was saying. He wasn't given enough rest or any rest. He wasn't given access to lawyers. They'll be saying that the note that was written on the relevant cancellation forms, so that the decision, if you like, by Border Force was sort of shorthand and didn't comply properly with the legislation and the precise test in the legislation that they're required to apply. So really technical arguments that, as I say, only lawyers and judges care about, but of course the judge is the only one that matters today.
Well, the judge is the only one that matters. I guess it's hard to tell. It could be $1 million question, but what is the judge likely to decide here?
I think it's a $4.4 million question, Danica. That's the prize. That's the prize money for the Oz Open. Look, as I said earlier, I think he's very likely to win his case, but that and I think that will either happen today or probably a little bit more likely the judge will say, I'd like to reserve my decision, hand it down tomorrow morning. We could get a decision today, reasons tomorrow, but I think probably he'll reserve. But I think he's going to find in favour of Djokovic. That is, the decision to cancel the visa was unlawful and the decision is invalid. I think that's what's going to be found. But then what the order will be, well, that'll be the end of it from the judge's perspective. The matter will then go back to the minister to decide whether or not to make the same decision again. They could make the same decision again, of course following the proper process and of course making sure that any of the mistakes the judge might say they made, they don't make again. So I think that's the most likely outcome. And as I say, whether or not that happens, whether the minister makes that decision again is really anyone's guess. It's going to be a political hot potato. I expect the government are right now trying to work out what they are going to do if the judge finds in favour of Djokovic. So it's going to be really interesting. This saga isn't over by a long way.
No, it appears not, and I guess the world's eyes will be on Melbourne today. Justin Quill, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Danica.